Hello, welcome to the 7th day of November 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This is a live video exercise that I do every morning at 5:30 a.m. to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone, which you can read for free at goingalone.org. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the various challenges and opportunities that I met. I go over the objectives and one of the principles of my creed, and I prepare for the coming day. I also do talk about sensitive subjects like death, so be forewarned if that's a sensitive topic to you. I'm at liberty to talk about any subject I want, although I typically avoid some subjects like politics and money. Uh, but I will talk about the broad scope of things without maybe mentioning particulars. But as this is a private journal done publicly, I am at liberty to talk at any length or lack thereof that I like. You are welcome to watch and leave comments and criticisms as you see fit, which I will read and respond to when I'm done. Before I start, let me say thank you to my those who watch my videos on YouTube, and especially to my members on YouTube and my subscribers, my members on YouTube, and my patrons over on Patreon. Thank you very much. All right, looking at my notes from yesterday, keeping notes every day, very important practice. I see that I have one note from yesterday, and this is more of an atmospheric comment than a particular thing. It simply says a very nice day. Yesterday was an interesting day insofar as I really centered the day around my garden, something that I would have thought that I would have begun doing much sooner, but really was centered around my garden and my guitar. I spent a good deal of time just playing my guitar here on the balcony, here on my chair, right here, sitting right here, and spent time out in the garden doing some heavy weeding around the actual garden area. I've cleaned up the entire area around the house and the garden path through the bamboo wood forest, and then I've mostly done all the perimeter around the garden, which I will complete today. Hopefully, beginning to tackle the actual garden itself, maybe next week on Monday. I have a good crop of sweet potatoes that have grown. I did plant sweet potatoes in the late summer, and it'll be fun to harvest those and see. This will be our first sweet potato harvest and see how those come up. Interestingly, I'm not making any videos of any of this stuff, which is a very interesting change. Don't know that that's permanent. It might be more of a hiatus. I've never, in the last, 2 decades, I've made several times that I've made breaks from making videos, but I always come back. This could be different, but maybe not. We'll see. I'm all right either way. In a way, I feel like someone who's the main event of my endeavors is over, and the best thing I can do now is to sustain this particular pulse and cadence of the Good Life meditation uh, to showcase my efforts at living out the values that I've taken a lifetime to develop. That's a worthwhile effort, to be sure. I That's it. That's all I've got for yesterday. No particular challenge. Oh, I did. There was one particular challenge I could think of. I won't go into particulars because it deals with somebody else. But I made a very concerted effort at goodwill, which felt good. It's good to do goodwill. Hmm. All right, so my creed consists of 8 objectives and 35 principles. My 8 objectives, which you can, again, as I said before, read in Going Alone if you go to the website, goingalone.org, and then search for read the book link in the middle of the page, and then look for the chapter titled The Good Life, and then you can read the 8 objectives and all 35 principles there. The rest of the book is the context and story in which the creed unfolds. In fact, a task for next week, I think, will be to lay out the Good Life AI that I created and integrated into the website. It's astonishing. It's just mind blowing how useful it is. I'm using the AI daily now, kind of as like a testing it, to see. I run it. I run it through the challenges now that I have, And it's astonishing at how perceptive it is in understanding the Good Life Creed and contextualizing it in the Stoic framework and dialogue. That's um, I want to release that tool to more people. All right, so my 8 objectives consist of number one, being at all times ready for death, having my affairs, my relationships, and my life's work in order. Number two, to make good and effective use of my days so that I'm not wasting time. Three, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. Number four, to perform good actions relative to my values. Five, to recognize my to cultivate good emotion. I think I got confused, didn't I? Three is to develop good and sound life principles. Four is to cultivate good emotional reactions. Five is to perform good actions relative to my values. Six is to recognize my true limits and true opportunities. Seven is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. And number eight is to maintain my balance. Now, if it sounds like this perfunctory listing of the 8 objectives is hardly touching the surface, I will tell you that it's not that my experience is not that way. Uh, whether I go into detail or not, or just name them, has a rarefying and solidifying effect upon me. These 8 objectives are first and foremost in my mind throughout the day. You would be astonished at how easily I can assess. And if it sounds like I'm bragging, so be it. This is my journal. But it really is with great ease now, after all these years, that I can assess and manage situations relative to Stoic values. Now that I have a concrete set of objectives to strive for. Before, as a Stoic student, I I would I would apply loosely to the broad themes of Stoicism from my reading, but I didn't have any particulars to hold on to, anything to hang my hat on, so to speak, or any tools to enlist immediately to my aid. But now that I have these 8 objectives, they're right there for me, and not to mention the 35 principles, but mostly the objectives. Um, and the AI that I mentioned earlier is well apt to do able to do exactly the same thing in an astonishing manner. It's well versed on all 8 objectives and 35 principles. So if it sounds like I'm just brushing through it, so be it. It works. All right. The one principle that I'm going to read today is the very last principle of the 35, the principle of being ready, which sounds like a Boy Scout creed, doesn't it? Being ready. Be prepared. Principle number 35 from page 274 of the hardbound edition. Again, reading from uh, uh, Jim Jam Bird's copy of Going Alone, which I'll be sending back as soon as I finish illustrating it. Being ready. Be prepared at all times for anything and nothing. Regarding anything, be especially ready for big things with enduring consequences like education, marriage, children, and old age. Go as far as you can with your education that you study. Sorry, there's a colon there. Go as far as you can with your education. That you study is more important than what you study. Pick someone who shares your core values. Looks, hobbies, and all the rest are secondary. Each of your children gets at least 23 years of your life. Be ready for that. Regarding nothing, be ready for peace. It's harder than it seems. Preparation through the diligent pursuit of education, a good person to spend your life with, and the dutiful endeavor of parenthood. Just realized just now how being ready, um, wow, wow, I just discovered this. Being ready, principle number 35, the last element of the creed, folds perfectly back into the first objective of the creed, being always ready to die. Isn't that something else? They're both being ready. Hmm. So being ready opens the door to the kind of slap in the face concept that the best we can do in life is to be prepared for life to come to an end. And then the ensuing objectives and principles give tools by which that can be that endeavor can be achieved. And then we finish with again, the admonition to be ready. A good storyteller would, an essayist would do the same, right? I mean, state in brief what you're going to do, tell the story, and then summarize what you have done, which is exactly what I just realized it now I have done with my creed. I didn't plan it that way, but nicely done, if I do say so myself. All right, as for today, well, you can see, oh, well, all I have, my note here is it's a day, it's a Friday. Well, this is a first. This is a first. I come before you dressed for the garden. I am actually wearing my garden wear. I don't have any lessons today. I've decided to take Fridays off. My work schedule will be Monday to Thursday. Fridays off, ostensibly to I should go for a mountain hike or something like that. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to spend time in the garden day, the full day. So finish this, wrap things up, go do morning exercise, and then come home and take my dog out in the garden and work on the garden. That's all I have to say. Let's read comments. Oh, it's a little hard to read it. The outdoor temperature appears to be, that looks cold. Could that be right? Like 11 degrees and like 85% humidity? Where indoors it's 18 degrees. Not bad. Oh, hello, Okuyama. Good morning, 14 degrees C and off and on rain with gusty winds reporting in from Washington. There's Tim, Penguin 651. Good morning. Weather check for the UK at 8:35 p.m. is 12.9 C and 95% humidity. An overcast but warm day, t-shirt weather, which feels strange with it being Guy Fawkes time. So 12.9, that's almost exactly 12.9 and 95%. Well, you and I are very close, and it's going to be, it looks like it's going to be a sunny day. Now, Guy Fawkes Day, Ray, help me if I understand. Wasn't Guy Fawkes, and of course, I think that's strictly a British thing. Wasn't Guy Fawkes the guy that tried to um, overtake, over, blow up Parliament? Was that Guy Fawkes? Like tried to smuggle. Maybe I'm got that wrong. Smuggled a bunch of dynamite or explosives under Parliament and was planning to blow the whole place up with the king in attendance or something like that. I know you guys have things. I think you burn Guy Fawkes in effigy or something like that on Guy Fawkes Day. I don't quite remember. Sorry. Evelyn, hi Evelyn, says hi to myself. Ray and Tim. Erica hello Erica, says hi to myself. Wishing you a solid and very good day. Thank you, Erica. Evelyn says hi to Erica. Erica says hi to Evelyn. Sarah, hi Sarah. Good morning to myself, Ray, Tim, Evelyn, and Erica. Tim says hi to Evelyn, Erica, and Ray. Tim says hi to Sarah. Erica says hi to Tim. Hi to Sarah. Evelyn says, seems like you have a lovely day planned. I think I do. Hold on. Ollie is outside the door. Watch him stretch and come in. Hi, Ollie. He's going to get up on the couch. Welcome. Good morning, Ollie. Close the door. Ollie says hi to everybody. Rudy's over there, fast asleep. Thank you, Evelyn, for your salutations and wishing well for a lovely day of lovely plan today. Emily and Tatsuya are coming tomorrow, so we're going to also tidy up the house ahead of their arrival. Sarah says, Kurt, I really admire the way you adjust your daily methods according to your life and your needs. You don't push yourself to continue something that doesn't feel right for you. Thank you, thank you. I guess I don't have time to waste doing stuff that. Oh, you know what? Uh, you know what? I think that comes from this book. Just a second, Sarah. These these 18 books up here on my shelf are the books that I recommend at the end of Going Alone in the actual order, actually, but there's supposed to be 18. So at the end of every one of my books, including Freeway Bible Study, I have, hold on. there's this page, recommended reading. Because what I did was, when I wrote this book, I created this list after I wrote Going Alone, and I realized that maybe there was, if people found this book interesting, maybe they would be interested in the sources, right? I mean, the sources being the books that I read that led me to develop my own creed. And I created a list of 18 books. Just a second while I relight this candle. I love candlelight. I've become a candle kind of guy. All right. So that's the 18 books. And then I line them up in order starting on this side. And that's the books on this shelf right here. I line them up starting here in the order in which I recommend that they should be read. So starting with Walden, going with et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all the way down. Unfortunately, I did collect all 18 books before I came to Japan, but I didn't have enough room in my suitcase for two of them. So I gave those away, and I only have 16 of the books. So I'm going to have to try to find, and the two that I gave away are kind of tricky to find, including the original Cosmos, which should be on the number 2 slot there. Um, Self-reliance is by Ralph Waldo Emerson is one of them, and there's a phrase in the essay in the essay of self-reliance that really speaks to my willingness to change. Emerson says, and I think I can quote it verbatim. He says, "A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds." And he goes on to expand on it in self-reliance about how about remaining true to a routine or a habit, just because just because we're comfortable with it or familiar with it is if it's not worthwhile, it's kind of a folly. Now, Thoreau, whose book Walden sits in the number 1 spot in my list, goes on to describe similar things, um, indicating that similarly, also, just a second, where is it? Similarly, but back in Emerson, there's a great passage in Emerson. I wish I could remember it. I could probably look it up. I'm sure it's highlighted in here somewhere. You can see I've highlighted in yellow all the good bits. He goes on to say, I wish I could find it because I would love to read it to you. It's an entire paragraph about speaking harsh words. In fact, I need to go in and I need to annotate it with a little mark so I can come back to it because it comes up in my life sometimes about um, speaking speaking harsh words or speaking strong words about your opinion today, and then if you change your mind, speaking strong words about your opinion tomorrow, even if it contradicts the very words you said today. The point being true to being allegiant to truth more than allegiant to our to the impression that we have, that other impression others will have about us, right? So if we discover suddenly that we're wrong, that's worth pointing out. No, sorry, I'm lingering on this, but it's a really worthwhile point. I'll share one more story. I mean, not Charles Darwin, might as well say it. Another person on my shelf, Richard Dawkins, who wrote The Selfish Gene, which is another book on my book of 18. um, Richard Dawkins tells a great story about when he was when he was a graduate student, I think it was, or maybe it was an undergraduate. Richard Dawkins himself was in college, and he was attending a guest lecture. I think it was at Oxford, and his professor, the lecturer was gave a presentation, and the old man who was the professor was in the audience. And the old man who was a professor had spent his whole career on a single ambition, and this was in dealing with biology. Had a whole biological principle that he basically rested his entire career on his life's work. The man up in the man that was giving had come to give the lecture. Maybe in it didn't know this, but what he was saying laid to rest the inaccuracy or settled the fact that what the old professor had spent his life doing was inaccurate. He was wrong. And Dawkins notes, and you can hear this in some of his recorded speeches. He says the old man, the professor, when the lecture was done, went up to the front of the class, gave the lecturer a hug, and with emotion in his voice, thanked the lecturer for for basically putting to rest the error of his life's work, basically for proving the old professor that he spent his whole life pursuing an idea that was wrong. Yet the way that the professor took it was not that his whole reputation had been soiled or that he had failed, but that at last, before he had died, he had been shown the error of his ways. Because in good science, it's just as valuable to discover when you're wrong as when you're right. So, do you see the point? So, I mean, armed with the story from Richard Dawkins and the words of Emerson and the admonitions of the words of Thoreau, and then the strong admonition of Emerson to embrace new information and new knowledge and new perspective when it shows us the error of our way, and that gives us an opportunity to live well. Then no wonder I wouldn't embrace, and I'm not saying, I hope this is coming across well. I will embrace an opportunity to live better today if I discover that yesterday was in some way in error. I'm sorry I went on and on and on about that, Sarah, but I appreciate your comment. Sarah adds, it's good to practice something and make a commitment, but if it doesn't feel helpful or relevant, you adjust and move forward. Or true, right? Yeah, I agree, Sarah. Tim says the gunpowder plot. Yes, on the 5th of November, 1605. So it was. That's what Guy Fawkes is about, right? And wasn't it like he almost got away with it, right? And wasn't it just like someone just kind of the last second discovered that there was some fishy business going on down there, and they almost blew up the whole government, the king and all, right? quite an event. Evelyn says, "Hi, Sarah and Ollie. I think that's Ollie's very first salutation to receive. Ollie, you've been said hello to by, of all people, Evelyn, our dog lover, our another of many of our dog lovers, but I think first and foremost among us." Robert says, "Hi, Kurt, hi, Ray, Tim, Evelyn." Erica is growing, Sarah, and Word chimes in at currently 43 degrees Fahrenheit and 43% humidity with an air quality index of 20 in astonishing Napanee, Ontario, Canada. 43, wow. And nice, kind of dry. Robert says hi. Tim says hi to Robert. Tim says, a good book to read on Guy Fawkes is Faith and Treason, The Story of the Gunpowder Plot by Antonia Fraser. It's an interesting read. Ooh, I would like to read. I like history, stuff like that. Let me write that down. Faith and Treason. I tend to limit my reading to, books like this. And I would like to expand my reading to other things like history. By Antonia Fraser. Antonia Fraser. My problem these days is I don't have an Amazon account anymore, and I really I can't just go on Amazon and order books anymore. But I'll add things to my list. I do have a list. It's published somewhere actually on my website maybe, but there's a whole list of all the books I want to read. Erica says hi to Robert. Evelyn says, in the future, when I get my second color of Going Alone, maybe second copy, I am going to put it in Libri free book, a charming little place where people leave and borrow books for free. Well, thank you, Evelyn. That's a wonderful thought. I really do appreciate that. I used to do that in Orange County when I was a driving instructor. I would drive all around Orange County to pick up students, and I would carry copies of Going Alone, and we would see those little free libraries, and I would drop them in the little libraries, doing the little good Going Alone Johnny Appleseed endeavor. I must have planted a couple of dozen of those things around Orange County. Evelyn says, and which is interesting because if you um, if you search for Going Alone and then look on the sale part, you can find used copies of it at being sold by people. And I wonder if that's how those wound up in the people's hands, right? It's like they're not being sold by Amazon, but they're being sold some guy, right, selling a copy of Going Alone. And I say, where did that come from? Probably came from one of those libraries. Evelyn says the woman who started it many years ago is well into her 90s and is there every day. Ooh, nice. One of those that's really well maintained. And it sounds like that's in Italy, huh? By the way, just out of a whim, Evelyn. I was watching The Godfather again last night, just entertaining myself with a good movie. And there was the scene where Michael goes back to Sicily, and I really wanted to know more about the Sicilian culture because he's being escorted around the island to Corleone, the village of Corleone, and with the two armed guards. And I wanted to know about it. And there was the one I got into a kind of a tangent because there was the one comment about male Michael when they enter Corleone, which turns out you're like, why does he have the same name as his father? It turns out, again, more rabbit hole stuff I was doing last night. Don Corleone and the Corleone family got that name because when Don Corleone, when he was a young man, came to America, couldn't speak English, and the immigration officer asked him at Island for his uh, for his information, and he said Corleone. The immigration officer mistook that as his surname and wrote it down as his surname, so he became Corleone. So his name, same name as the village. Anyway, when Michael back in Sicily asks where are all the men in the village, and the guards say they're all dead because of the vendettas. Boy, I probably spent 10 minutes watching The Godfather, and then another half hour reading about uh, or talking to AI about vendetta culture on the island of Sicily and how it persists. Its echoes persist to this day. Interesting stuff. So more and more. I'm saying this because of Evelyn and her deep involvement with Italy. Sarah says that's a wonderful analogy. Oh, thank you. Uh, Tim says, Robert, that is, I have an Amazon Japan account. You do? Wow. Evelyn says, I meant copy, but I'm sure you understood. Yeah, I got what you mean. Thanks so for the clarification. Tim says, great thing about retirement is having the time to do a bit of reading now. I simply never did any book reading when working. It's a refreshing change. It's really nice. Apa, Apa Papa. Hi, Apa Papa. Nice to have you here. It's the first time I see your name. Asking any book recommendation for young adult in their 20s. Absolutely. I don't know if you caught it, but I have at the end of all of my books, I have a reading list of 18 books to recommend. And you can find that if you just go to goingalone.org and look on the read the book section and look for the chapter. It's a web page at the very end titled The Reading List, and you can see all 18 titles. Any of those books in that list are highly recommended. In fact, you're at the perfect age to start. My recommendation would be to start at the beginning of the list, which would be Walden, and then work your way all the way through. I believe that if you would read anyone who reads all 18 of those books at a young age is going to come out armed with a mind keen to the instinct and the application of reason. By instinct, I mean an instinct to first view propositions and suggestions, observations, and proclamations of truth through the eyes of reason, well armed with the capability of reasons, the scientific method, and very importantly, well understood understanding of the broad scope and scheme of Stoic philosophy. All 18 of those books put together will give you that, including one of the books is in fact I've got three religious tomes in there. I've got the Bible itself, of course. I've got the Torah is amongst those lists, and the what's it called? The Anuma Elish, which is the seven tablets of life that might be considered to be some of the reference material that was used in the old writing of the Old Testament. That's what I'd recommend. All those 18 books, beginning with, if you want to start with one, Walden by Henry David Thoreau. It's a tough read, but all like it's like sitting through a hard course in college, right? That's really worthwhile in the end. If you can, but once you start going, if you really get into it, you can be addicted. It took me like 6 years to read this thing the first time. It's a tough read, but it's a good read. And welcome to my live here at Papa. I hope I'm saying your name right. And Robert says hello. Of course, Robert does, because Robert says hi to everybody. Robert's that kind of guy, and I love that. Papa says hi to him or her, them. And with that, I'll go ahead and close for the day, everybody. And thank you, everybody, for joining me. Look at this candle all burned down. This nice old antique candle holder that I bought at the antique fair. I love this thing. It's good because it has some feet. I can put it on top of something, and the heat won't go through and it burns down. But nothing beats this old candle holder. Isn't that great? Got this at the flea market. Time for me to blow out my candles. Wish you all well. Let's start our day or end our day wherever you're doing, but until we encompass another journey around the earth. And if you like, I look forward to seeing you here again tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Be safe, but not too safe. And happy Guy. If is that what you say on Guy Fawkes Day? Happy Guy Fawkes Day. Okay. People are saying bye. Bye, Evelyn. Enjoy the fun day. Thank you, Evelyn. Robert says, "How? Thank you, Kurt. Bye, all." Sarah says, "Have a great day, everyone." Tim says, "Have a great Friday, Tim." Okay, bye, bye, everybody. Good night. Good day.